everyone, it is me, and I'm trying to get better about going and picking up the camera and doing vlogging because I know a lot of you really enjoy this. It's just definitely a learning experience for myself because it's not easy to always pick up the camera. But to be honest, I'm feeling groggy and foggy. The brain fog is really there. Charles got sick, and I've been lucky enough to usually avoid whenever they get a cold because they work at an elementary school, and that's like a petri dish of germs. But yeah, I've kind of been having a sore throat for the past couple of days. So last night I took cold medicine hoping that would help things out and maybe avoid getting whatever he had. But the the sore throat is still there, and I'm so brain foggy right now. But I want to get better about doing these vlogs, so we're gonna do a little bit of a check-in. I have a book that I want to talk to you all about. So I'm reading on Sunday She Picked Flowers by Schofield. This was a book that I got as an ARC from Saga Press, and I was so excited to get it because this was one of my anticipated reads for the year of 2026. And if you would have watched my Defend the TBR video, you would have seen that this was one of my options that I picked, and I didn't realize that in the top, I'd say left corner for y'all, or maybe it's the right corner, I don't know, my brain's foggy, but there's actually a snake on it, and I know that one of my prompts actually asked for there to be an animal on the cover. So although I think I was kind of bouncing around for this to be a different choice, I might actually put this one as the animal on the cover because it would be perfect. But I am about more than halfway through the book, and honestly, it is so good. I don't annotate books at all. I've tried a couple of times, but it's just not really a me thing, even using like sticky tabs and stuff like that. But if I were to annotate a book, there would be so many quotes in this book that would be highlighted. It deals with a lot of cultural trauma within families. It also deals, I think, with a little bit of religious trauma as well, which I personally have a lot of experience with. And yeah, there's just a lot of really interesting things with this. Our main character is also in her 40s, I believe, in the beginning of the book, and it does progress over time. So I think at this point in the book, she's maybe around 51 years old, and she has kind of fleed away from her home because her and her mom got in a very serious altercation, and she ended up going and running away, and is now finally getting to live on her own and do a lot of things her own way and have that independence. And it's really good. I wouldn't say that necessarily this is a typical horror, because this, I believe this is labeled as a horror, but it's not a typical horror. It has like certain themes, and especially if those themes resonate with you, then I could see how that has the horror piece applied to it. I will say as well to go and check trigger warnings with this because there is a lot of intense and gruesome detail in certain pieces. And so if you're not mentally in the position to read this, like I said, check your trigger warnings. But I'm loving this book. I don't know necessarily if I'd say this would be a 5-star for me. I feel like over the time since I've had a booktube channel, I've gotten a little bit more particular with that, but I'd say this would at least be a 4.5 star for me. So absolutely loving this. I finished listening to One Dark Window through Libby because I did read One Dark Window last year, and then I had Two Twisted Crowns on my list to read for January. However, when I started reading it, I realized I couldn't remember anything that happened. I was like, who is this character? What's going on here? So I decided I was going to listen to the audiobook just so that I could get through the first book a little bit more quickly. And so I finished that yesterday. I feel like my rating is still the same for it. It's decent, but it still wasn't a love for me. I don't know what it is. I love the card aspect in the stories, but something around that story just doesn't pull me in as much as I would have liked it to. So we'll see how Two Twisted Crowns is. I know a lot of people said they loved it. I think one of my booktube friends said she cried. So I'm very curious to see what my thoughts are there. But I think what I'm going to do first is finish this book, because once I finish this, I have a few different books on Libby currently that I'm going to listen to. I think one of them is Lone Women or Lone Woman. I can't remember if it's woman or women. I can't remember at the moment, but I have that one. But I'm worried if I start listening to that one while I'm reading On Sunday She'd Pick Flowers, I might get the two confused. So I'm gonna hold off on that. Some things that also I'm hoping to do maybe this weekend is I've been stockpiling books since November, and I wanted to do like one last huge book haul before I kind of do a tentative book ban, because this year I'm getting married and I'd like to save up money. So I've been buying books whenever they're on sale and things like that. So I'm gonna do one last huge book haul, and then the only other books that I'll buy outside of that would be if they're an indie author, for one, because I know there's a few indie authors that release books this year that I really want to read. And then the other piece is if it's another book in a series that I'm currently reading. And that will be the only exception. I'm not going to allow myself to buy any more books from Book Outlet, anything like that. So yeah, it's going to be books that I've purchased with my own money. And like I said, I've been stockpiling them so that I can do one last remaining book haul with y'all before I stop doing that outside of books that I get from publisher programs. So that's kind of the update there, but I'm gonna go and continue to relax. I feel like the brain fog is finally lifting, which is amazing. I did try to take a nap today, but I'm not a napper. I've never been able to take naps. Even when I was a little kid, whenever it was nap time and my mom would go for a nap with me, I'd let her fall asleep and then I'd sneak out. So I've never been a napper, but yeah, that's the update there. Also, look at what I got. Look at her. Look at her. Oh my god. So I can't quite remember how to pronounce her name. I don't know if it's Zabai, but I've been playing Genshin, as some of you know from my previous vlog, and I've been trying not to go and spend outside of the monthly primogens that you can get. And so when I wasn't able to get the other banner that was out, I think it was Inefa, I decided like, okay, I'll hold off, because I saw that the next banner was going to have this character that was associated with horses. And like I said, my brain is foggy, so I can't recall all the details, but I was a horse girl growing up. I lived next to a lot of horses. I would go to my neighbors' houses and like spend time with them and the horses. So I was like, I kind of want to get this character as a horse girl, and I got her. I only had to spend 10 wishes, which is awesome. So now I can continue going and saving and stockpiling my wishes again. But yeah, I was very, very happy about that. So that was a little piece of joy. But I've been talking for a long amount of time and probably blabbering, so I'm gonna go, but that's a little update here. Hi everyone, so it is a new day. I'm thankfully doing a lot better than I was the previous day. The cold has kind of gone a little bit more, so I'm hoping after tonight and getting some good rest it will be gone completely. My throat is a little bit sore, but the brain fog that I was having the previous day is thankfully gone. But I just wanted to check in and tell you that I finished On Sundays She'd Pick Flowers by Scholfield, and honestly, I know I was kind of going back and forth on my rating, but there's just something about this book that makes me want to give it 5 stars. And I think this will mean that this is actually our first 5-star read of the year. This was a horror book. However, I feel like using horror for this and thinking it's like Scream type of horror, anything like that, would not be correct. This would probably be more in line with maybe like Get Out's type of level of horror, if that makes sense. If you've watched those movies, then you would probably know where I'm coming from when you read this book. But it was so good. The way it was written was so well done, and just the way that this tackled toxic familial trauma and generational trauma. It was so good and so well done. There was also queer awakening and sexuality discovery. I think that's the right terminology I'll use to describe that, but that was also present in the story as well, and I thought that was beautifully done too. This was just a beautiful book, and it was also a debut book by this author. So if you haven't picked this up already, I would highly recommend it. But I would also recommend checking trigger warnings because there is a lot of stuff that is going to be really difficult, such as any sort of religious trauma, toxic family relations, animal hunting, as well as cleaning of animals that have been killed in preparation for food. So things like that, if any of those things potentially bother you, then this might not be the book for you. However, I will say that it was really, really good, beautifully done. I know I saw Jan Agaton actually read this book and also really loved it, but I didn't want to really see her review because I wanted to experience it for myself, and I'm so glad I did. Just so good. And it was a super quick read, not very thick at all. I know I've been kind of struggling with reading books lately, so I'm happy that I finally got my first 5-star read and only in the second month of the year, so that's really exciting. But yeah, that's just a little update I wanted to give y'all. I'm gonna be playing some Dead by Daylight tonight with some of my friends. It's been a great way to go and escape and find little pockets of joy when I can, because getting to go and hang out with friends on games in the comfort of my own home and getting to laugh that way just is really, really nice and definitely very much needed. But yeah. Oh, and there's Nuggy. She's so sleepy. She's so sleepy. Hi, Nug Nug. But yeah, so I hope you all are doing well. I'm going to be continuing on with Two Twisted Crowns now because I can actually read this book since I finished the first one and I know what's going on. And then for audiobooks, I think I'm going to listen to The Lone Woman because that one is going to be due soon. I think it's going to be due in around 6 days or so. So I'll probably be listening to that book this weekend. I'll give you updates on that book as I get further into it. But yeah, that's the reading update. Hi, Nugs. Yeah, hi. Oh, you want to give kisses? Well, you shocked me. Thank you. But you shocked me. You're not being very helpful. You know that? This is what it's like to try to film with a doggo. Hello. So Nugget and I are currently sitting in the car while Charles goes and runs some errands and everything. I have such a headache today, but we've been working on gathering addresses for Save the Dates because we're going to be sending that stuff out here hopefully by this weekend. I actually have enough stamps. I got some D&D stamps I think like years ago, and we were counting them this morning, and we should have enough for all the invites that we're going to be sending. So yeah, that's going to be out of the way. We were also trying to finalize and get things set up for our wedding website through the Knot. So we got that set up, and then we're doing a honeymoon fund to go to Japan because that's kind of a bucket list place for both of us. And we found a website that kind of has this whole travel plan itinerary type of thing. So we're doing a honeymoon fund through there. So yeah, we ticked off a couple of things for the wedding. I get conflicted because some people are constantly like, when are you doing this? When are you doing this? When are you doing this? So I've been feeling a lot of the stress lately. So that's been fun. But yeah, that's kind of the update there. I need to do some more reading. I did start listening to Lone Women, and I didn't listen to too much of it. I was just having it play while I was doing my makeup and getting ready this morning. But I'm definitely intrigued to know what's going on right now. We just kind of have the opening scene where the main character is dousing everything in her home with gasoline, and it seems like she has someone that's ready to basically transport her to wherever she's going next. But both of her parents aren't alive anymore, and I don't know if the relationship was strained with her and just one of the parents or both of the parents. So I'm curious to see what goes on there. But yeah, that's just a little bit of an update, and I'll try to give you more news soon, but I do have a little bit of a headache, so I don't know if I'm going to do reading once we get back home or if I'm just going to do some decompress time. I also did film my January reading wrap-up, and I decided to do something that was more yes, no, or maybe with that, and kind of test out a different style, because I know a lot of other people kind of go back and forth on whether or not they do wrap-ups, and I do like them, but I want to do something different with them instead of the star rating and talking about the books from lowest to highest that I rated. So I'm curious to know your input on that, because I do want to make some changes there. But yeah, that's everything, and I'll talk to you again later. All right, hi, hello everyone. So it has been a hot minute since I've come on camera, and that is because the last time you saw me, I was basically okay until I wasn't okay because my cold progressed. And for me, basically, my cold is bad if it makes me feel the need to go and take a nap. I'm not a nap person. I have never been a nap person. And that cold just was full of body aches and brain fog that made me feel the need to take naps. Also, I just got out of the shower because we're gonna do a very fun and chatty catch up and just talk about all the things kind of going on that have happened and everything. So let's see, I got sick, told you about that already. Also, let's talk about the halftime show with Bad Bunny. Wow. So Charles and I, we do not have any cable TV. We do streaming services, but I don't think any of the... Oh, Nagy's here. Thank you, thank you. I put moisturizer on. I know you like licking lotion and everything, but no, you can't do that. Do I say hi to the camera? I'll take that as her being camera shy. But basically, so the Bad Bunny Super Bowl and everything, we don't have cable, and I don't think any of our streaming services that we have had that way of us being able to go and watch the live show. So I got to watch it the next day, like once the brain fog was a little bit better, and wow, it was so amazing, and just all the joy you could go and feel from it. I, of course, couldn't understand anything that was being said, but I'm gonna point y'all to one of my good booktube friends, Steph. I can't remember her handle at the moment, and that is because brain fog, but she made a really amazing video that went and broke down everything, all the different symbolism pieces that she was able to find, and really explained everything so articulately. So I want to point you all to that. Also, go and follow her channel and all of her social media and everything. She was one of the hosts that was also a part of the Dungeons and Book Dragons readathon, and it was really awesome getting to go and meet her. But she really went and broke down a lot of pieces that you would have seen during that halftime show and just how impactful everything was. So super, super cool that way. And with that, kind of segueing into my next thought, or my next thing that has kind of been going through my head, with a lot of the stuff that's been going on, somehow my Instagram as well as my Threads algorithms have been amazing, and have really been giving me like what I want to see and not a bunch of crap that's not relevant, especially in our world right now. And some really cool stuff that has been getting pushed onto my algorithm is other Filipino creators. And for those of you that aren't aware, I am part white, but I am also Filipino. My mom is from the Philippines, and so I believe that I'm like I said, forgive me because my brain fog, but I think that means I'm first generation, and there is some pieces that I was really grateful for with my culture and getting to experience different pieces of it. And one of them is my mom always made a lot of Filipino dishes, so I was really raised right when it came to a lot of the food that is a part of my culture. But one thing that I wasn't able to have an experience with is learning to talk Tagalog or Kapapangan. And I do know a few words and phrases and things. Some of the phrases I can say here, some of them probably not, because I don't know if that would get me in trouble. But I've always known like some little terms here and there, some words of respect, like calling certain people kuya or ate, also saying like thank you, which is salamat po. You always add po to the end, nagihazumis, but you always add po to the end of certain sentences, especially when you're speaking to elders, because it is a sign of respect. And then saying mahal kita is saying I love you. And nanay is also mom, which I do go and refer to my mom as most of the time. But yeah, certain things like that, I do know the words and some pieces like that, but unfortunately, my understanding kind of ends there. My cousins, at least for the most part, they at least can understand Tagalog, but they don't speak it. And that's something that has always kind of been a bummer for me and a huge disappointment because I don't know if anyone else experiences this that's interracial, but I feel like, at least from what I've seen online, anyone that's interracial kind of understands this, where it always feels like you can't fully fit into one box. You're not white enough, and you're not, like, for me, Filipino enough or Asian enough. And especially not being able to be a part of that piece of my culture and being able to converse, especially with some of the older members of my family who don't speak English that well. It's always been something that's bothered me. And I've seen, especially with the halftime show and everything, people have been expressing a lot of cultural pride, which is just amazing because you should own your culture and be proud of that. I think each culture is beautiful and they have so many different amazing things to go and offer. And some people have mentioned, like, some Latinas are like, I can't speak my language, I can't speak Spanish, I can't, speak this, and it's always bothered me. And there's amazing people that are usually in the comments of those posts saying, you can always learn, it's never too late. And funny enough, I think a few months ago, even now, I usually get apps that go and help you speak Tagalog that show up on my algorithm. And I'm very tempted to do that because another thing that I don't really want to do is I don't want to use Duolingo. I think Rosetta Stone is another one. I don't want to use either of those apps to learn Tagalog. I know Duolingo has had a lot of things where they've been under fire for certain stuff, and I don't want to support companies that shouldn't be supported or don't have the best views and things like that. Like, I want to support good businesses. And so I'm going to try to see. I want to say that I have a screenshot taken of the times that those apps have popped up, but yeah, I really want to try to learn Tagalog. And I know a lot of people have personal curriculum goals that they've had for this year, and personally, I don't have the spoons for that. I'm getting married this year, and that stress tied in with the stress going on in the world, I can't give myself a curriculum and act like I'm going back to college because your girl has tummy issues and I can't afford to have even more tummy issues on top of the ones I have already. So if I were to have a personal curriculum, I think adding Tagalog and learning how to talk in Tagalog might be something that I'd like to add as a goal this year, if anything, just to start and to take those initial beginning steps, because that's always the hardest part. It's always hard getting started, and then once you do that, it gets easier and easier. So I'd like to do that. I also do have some Filipino cookbooks, and I love Filipino food. I crave it like none other. And we do have a Filipino restaurant that's close by that we've tried a couple dishes from, and I think I've showed that in a past vlog. And I do really enjoy that place and would love to get more food there. But I do want to get over my fear of making Filipino food and it not tasting as good as my nanay's, because my mom, my nanay, is an amazing cook, as well as a lot of people in her family. And I've always been so intimidated because I know what good Filipino food tastes like. And I can say that because I've been to other Filipino family friends places and the food's not that good sometimes. And it feels bad because you don't want to be disrespectful and you want to eat their food, but at the same time it's like, this isn't good, this doesn't have flavor, it's not like my nanay's. So yeah, I need to get over that fear as well and actually start making certain dishes. I've made buko pandan before, which is one of my favorite Filipino desserts, but that's not really cooking. That's not really cooking. That's super, super easy. So yeah, those are a couple of goals for myself. I'm also going to tonight try to work on editing a video that I've been kind of put off of posting. It's one that I filmed back in December because back in December, that was going to be my 1 year anniversary of being monetized on YouTube for a year. And I'm so, so thankful for everyone that has stuck with me and been a part of this channel and all the growth that has happened. I really appreciate you all so much for that. But yeah, I wanted to do a really cool video regarding that and just kind of talking about how much I've earned in that year, what I've learned from the process and everything like that. Because I've watched other people make videos like that and I just think it's so cool and so fascinating. And I wanted to do that, but with everything that happened at the beginning of the year, it just never felt right and it felt really like poor taste to put anything like that out. So I think now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish editing that video and post it. I don't know necessarily how well it will do, if the algorithm will love it and I'll get a lot of views, but I'm thinking depending on how well that does, on top of maybe what I've already earning with that threshold that you have to make in order to get a payout from YouTube, I might go and see if I can donate a portion of that either to Minnesota or split that between Minnesota and Colorado, different organizations for both states. I'll see, but that would be something that would be absolutely amazing and has been honestly something that has been on my mind, and even more so on my mind, especially after seeing Jan Agaton, who is another Filipino bookish creator. She actually made a post a while back saying that she wanted to donate a certain percentage of her income from Patreon to an organization, I believe in Minnesota as well. And I really, really loved that because similar to her, I was just feeling really bad about only going and reposting a lot of the things that I was seeing. And yes, I have a voice, but at the same time, I don't feel like I have as loud of a voice as others, but I know anyone that speaks up, that still helps add and still brings an importance to a lot of the things that are going on. But yeah, I'd really love to go and do that as well. So you're probably going to see this video maybe after I've already posted that video, but if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you not only watch this video or finish watching this video, but also watch the other one that I will link up here, because like I said, I would like to go and donate a percentage of what I earn to an organization in Minnesota, and we'll see how it is. I might have to just do this for the one payout that is also lumped in with that other video, but if it does well, maybe I'll go and take a percentage each month from what I make on YouTube to go and donate. We'll see here, because YouTube is not my full-time job, but at the same time I do have bills to pay, and I also do have a wedding that I have to pay for, and it's a whole other tangent, but it's still so difficult for me to try to do a wedding on top of, or try to be expected to plan a wedding with the things going on in the world. I know you're supposed to find joy in things, and joy is also a way of speaking out against what's going on in the world, because they want to take your joy away from you, but it's still hard. And I can already feel like my eyes watering up and me getting emotional, so I'm gonna stop there, but that's my really long tangent and catch up on things. And I'm gonna edit this down because it's a little bit longer than I was hoping, but yeah, I'll check in with you later when I'm not getting emotional. Okay, bye.
Dude, the treat is in my left hand. Treat in left. Oh, now you figure it out. Still looking at this, huh? Oh, sit. You want a cat treat? Yeah, she wants a cat treat.
She loves cat treats. The time has finally come to go over all of these books that I've been storing up since November. And the stack, as you can tell, is super, super tall. So let me get these moved over into the office. So I just got done filming a very huge book haul. I had to do it in 2 chunks because it was a lot, and it's actually a bunch of books that I've been hoarding since November just to do basically like one last huge book haul for. And they weren't books that I bought overnight. They were ones that I've been just hoarding and storing up and putting all the boxes in our bedroom so that they were out of the way. But yeah, I'm just already dreading how long it's gonna be to edit and also how long of a video it's gonna be. So I'm not sure if people want that video in 2 chunks, because I did kind of split it in 2 chunks just because of the battery life and having to take it out and recharge it. So yeah, if you want one really, 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 really long video, let me know in the comments, or if you want it in 2 parts, also let me know so I can get that stuff figured out. But I'm gonna give you a brief little preview. I am sitting on the floor and I am surrounded by all of these books that you see here, and it's a lot. So yeah, maybe let me know, because I think I'm probably gonna edit this video and have this video out first, because I'm intimidated by that book haul video and how long it's gonna take. So yeah. Now to transfer everything over into my computer. Yay! You ready for Twilight? Yeah.
So ready. Hold on. That's my
Yeah.
Bella Swan impersonation.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, smiling seems to pain her in this movie, so. No, you don't get coffee.
Morning, everyone. So I was really bad about going and vlogging on Valentine's Day. It was honestly a very, hi Nugs. It was a very busy day. I ended up going and doing the huge book haul that I've been talking about here. And honestly, it was so chonky. I probably have at least 2 hours of footage. So I'm very intimidated to edit that and try to put that together, because I can chop it down, but I still have a feeling it's gonna at least be an hour and a half. So if you would like a big video, let me know in the comments below, or if you want it split in 2, let me know. But yeah, we had a great Valentine's Day. We went and got some Filipino food from a local Filipino, it's not really a restaurant, but that's the word that's coming to my mind right now. But we went and got food there and actually like ate there instead of ordering food out. So that was really exciting. I got kare-kare, and they gave like a really nice amount of rice, and definitely noticed that they gave more gulay or vegetables than they did when you order out. And I'm a huge veggie person. I love my veggies. Hi Nugs. I also love my nuggie. Yeah, she's eating her food now. But yeah, so I was really happy about that. And then I also got some taho to go, which is like a sweet tofu dessert. So I got that, and I love going and heating it up and having it later. I don't know if I'll have it today because my stomach's feeling a little bit icky, probably just from the amount of food I had yesterday. And then after that, we went to get bingsu, which is a Korean shaved ice dessert. And ugh, it's so delicious. I love getting the strawberry one, and we got that to go, and then came home and we ended up going and eating the bingsu while going and working on our save the dates. And honestly, Charles and I were thinking it was going to take hours, but it went so quick. We basically went and split it up, so I went in and wrote names on the address stuff, because I got free address stickers from, I think, AAA, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use these, but then I'm gonna also add Charles's name to it, so I don't know if that's hella Asian, but hey, I have them, why not go and use them? So I added Charles's name to it, and then basically what we did was we went and split things up. So I'd go and write the address for the person that we're inviting to send the save the dates to, and then Charles would go and put the address sticker on it and the stamps. We have D&D stamps, by the way. Super awesome. Let me go and grab them actually. So I got these D&D stamps a while back, and they came in handy because we did not have to worry about purchasing any stamps. We used these stamps on the invites, which is just very, very us because we're huge nerds. And after that, we were like, well, we have a lot of downtime. What should we do? And I was honestly way too full to even think about playing like games together. We were kind of talking about maybe playing BG3 together or 7 Days to Die. And instead we settled on a movie. And I've been trying to get Charles to watch Twilight for the longest time since we've been together. But I kid you not, every time Charles finally agrees to go and watch it, it's not on a streaming service anymore. So we finally got to go and watch it because when my parents came down for Thanksgiving, I had asked my dad to bring the Twilight movies. So we have them all now. And Charles does not have any excuse not to watch them unless obviously he's not in the mood. And so we watched Twilight together. He was thinking I was gonna be like, Twilight is the best movie ever. No, hear me out. It's a classic. It's a cultural piece of memorabilia, but it is also very horrendous and very cringy. And I mean, like, I was a twihard when I was growing up. I was obsessed with it. I read all the books. I watched all the special features, everything like that. But I recognize it is so cringy, and especially with the first movie, because you know the director, she was very eccentric, and she just had this thing with like, I'm gonna focus on each person's face like this, and then see them breathing and doing all this other stuff, and Kristen Stewart was always doing these very like awkward gasps and just made it even more uncomfortable. So we were kind of laughing about it, and at one point Nugget was just zoned into the movie, and I pointed out to Charles, and Charles was like, yeah, of course, because she's a teenager. So we got a good kick out of that. But yeah, that basically was how our Valentine's Day ended. I am going to work on editing my video and everything. My vlog that is coming out, or this vlog in general, as you saw, is a little bit all over the place. I was kind of hoping on doing more reading vlog and all of that stuff, but obviously I got sick, and it was kind of a cold that at first I was like, no, I'm fine, I think it's gone, but then it hit me with that second wave, and the brain fog was just too foggy for me to even try to read or do anything. So I'm finally back to 100%, and I'm excited for that because I was, before I got sick, getting into this habit of doing like little Pilates workouts at home and walking on my treadmill or walking pad and things like that, and it was really, really nice and helped get some good energy flowing, especially before starting my workday, and I had to stop that because I was sick. So I'm excited to do that again and just kind of work on this routine I was trying to build for myself. And yeah, so I'm gonna try to do another vlog and kind of do it in a different way, or I might try to do my Love It or Lose It series. So I have homework for y'all. Number one, how long of the book haul video do you want? Do you want it in 2 parts or do you want it in 1? And then number 2, if you do want another reading style video, do you want a reading vlog or do you want a Love It or Lose It video? And if it's a Love It or Lose It, would you prefer ARC or going and picking books off of my shelves? Let me know, and then I'll try to do something fun with that. So that's your homework. Please let me know down in the comments below what you're interested in. And yeah, and then also I got some silky gems. I've been really on a thing with crystal candy, and this is like a Vietnamese type of candy, but there's ube plus coconut, and I'm so excited for this. I'm probably gonna try to do some stuff with this on my ASMR channel. It's just like a fun little channel where I don't really take it too seriously, but I post on there every now and then. So if you like ASMR, I have an ASMR channel. But yeah, so that's the news there. Remember your homework. Comment that stuff down below. And then if you made it to this part of the video and you don't know what to comment and you don't want to do your homework that I'm asking, then just go and leave a dog in the comments because Nugget's staring me down right now. All right, thank you so much for watching, friends. Love you all so much, and always remember that you're worthy and capable of amazing things. Bye.